When life grows quiet, there comes a moment when you sit with your own thoughts and feel the weight of everything you've been carrying. You look around and realize, no matter how much someone loves you, no matter how close they stand beside you, no one can feel the exact texture of your pain. No one hears the noise inside your chest the way you do. And in that stillness, a soft ache rises. The longing for someone who truly understands. Someone who can reach into your inner world and lift the heaviness you've never been able to put into words. For a long time, this longing feels like loneliness. It feels like being unseen, unsupported, unprotected in the most vulnerable parts of your life. You may quietly wish for someone to rescue you, to guide you, to tell you that everything you're facing will somehow make sense. But pause here, just for a moment, and ask yourself, what if this moment is not abandonment? What if it is the first doorway to your real power? The truth is gentle but unshakable. No one else can walk your mind, your karma, or your inner healing. No one else can breathe for you. No one else can sit inside your thoughts and rearrange them into peace. Buddhist wisdom teaches that while the path is deeply personal, it is not lonely. You walk it with awareness, with breath, with the quiet presence of your own becoming. And this video is an invitation to that journey. Today, we will explore 7 gentle shifts, each one designed to guide you away from needing others to carry your inner world and toward becoming the safe place you have always longed for. These insights are not meant to harden you, but to soften you into strength, to show you that the freedom you seek has been quietly waiting within you all along. Principle 1. The path only you can walk. There comes a moment in every person's life when a quiet truth finally rises to the surface. The inner work you must do is yours alone. You may have people who love you, people who try their best to understand, people who stand beside you in silence. But no one can enter the deepest chambers of your heart and heal what lives there. This is not abandonment. It is not the world turning its back on you. In the Buddhist understanding, this solitude is a sacred invitation. It is the space where your inner strength begins to take shape, not because someone handed it to you, but because you uncovered it within yourself. Imagine your inner life as a mountain trail. Some companions may walk beside you for a while, sharing stories, comfort, or guidance. But when the path becomes steep, when the climb asks more of your spirit, when the next step feels heavy, no one can move your legs for you. No one can lift your foot and place it on the ground. And that is what gives your journey meaning. The steps you take through difficulty, confusion, or fear become the very steps that transform you. Even the Buddha said, "I show the way, you must walk it." He could offer wisdom, but he could not walk enlightenment into another person's mind. This realization often feels lonely at first, but it is actually the beginning of awakening. It is life gently reminding you that your deepest growth comes from within, not from rescue, approval, or someone else's understanding. When you stop waiting for another person to carry what only your heart can hold, something powerful shifts. You begin walking with yourself instead of away from yourself. Whenever you face a challenge, pause and ask, in this moment, what is the step only I can take, even if no one sees it? That single question opens a doorway. It turns solitude into strength, confusion into clarity, and the path ahead into something sacred, because the journey within, the one that shapes your soul, is the path only you can walk. Principle 2. Owning your wounds without blaming the world. There comes a turning point in every journey when the question quietly shifts from, "Why did this happen to me?" to, "What can I do with what happened?" This shift is not easy. It requires a kind of honesty that doesn't pretend the past was gentle and doesn't deny the weight of the pain you carry. It simply acknowledges a deeper truth, that while pain is inevitable, suffering is shaped by the way the mind holds that pain. In Buddhism, this distinction is everything. Pain arrives uninvited, through loss, betrayal, abandonment, harsh words, or moments that left scars where softness once lived. But suffering begins when the mind clings to the story that the pain should not have happened. When we repeat the silent mantra, "This is unfair. This shouldn't be my life," this resistance becomes a second wound, layered on top of the first. It is not the pain that destroys us. It is the story we wrap around it. Think of your pain as raw clay placed in your hands. You did not choose its texture, its heaviness, its shape. You did not ask for it. But now that it is here, you hold the power to decide what you sculpt from it. Clay is only a burden when held tightly. It becomes art when you shape it with intention. This principle asks for emotional honesty, to acknowledge that what hurt you was real, that the wounds were deep, that certain moments changed you in ways others may never understand. This is not bypassing. This is not pretending. It is simply recognizing that although you were not responsible for what broke you, you alone can decide how long those broken pieces will dominate your life. So today, try this gentle practice. Sit somewhere quiet and write. This hurt is real, and from today, I choose to learn this from it. Let your hands speak what your heart has been carrying. Then close your eyes and feel where the pain lives in your body, your chest, your stomach, your throat. Instead of judging it or pushing it away, observe it like a curious traveler. Notice its edges. Notice how it shifts. Notice that even pain is impermanent. When you stop blaming the world and start shaping the clay in your own hands, something remarkable happens. The wound becomes a teacher, and your suffering becomes wisdom. Principle 3. Quiet work, loud results. There is a habit many of us develop without noticing, the habit of talking about our struggles more than we actually work through them. We explain, we analyze, we repeat the same story to different people, hoping that saying it out loud will somehow ease its weight. And for a moment, it does. Venting brings temporary relief, like opening a window in a crowded room. But relief is not transformation. Buddhist wisdom invites us to see that every time we pour our energy into retelling the problem, we are draining the very energy that could be used to change it. Think of your attention as a limited battery. Each day you wake up with a certain amount of mental and emotional power. You can spend that battery explaining your pain, defending your frustration, or repeating the narrative of why you feel stuck. Or you can use that same inner power to take one small step toward rewiring your habits, reframing your thoughts, or practicing stillness. Both take energy. Only one moves you forward. In Buddhism, this is the essence of right effort, sama vayama, not force, not urgency, simply guiding the mind away from patterns that keep you small and gently toward patterns that open you to freedom. Again and again, quietly, patiently, with consistency, not noise. Today, we live in a world where complaining is not only easy, it is rewarded. Social media encourages venting, ranting, and broadcasting our inner turmoil. Chats become echo chambers of frustration. But the truth is simple. The more you talk about what hurts, the deeper the grooves of that pain become in your mind. Words repeated often enough turn into identity. You begin to feel like the story you keep telling, but transformation is different. Transformation is silent. It happens in small moments when no one is watching, when you breathe instead of react, when you meditate instead of argue, when you choose awareness over repeating the same narrative. Quiet work creates loud results. You become the kind of person whose presence feels different without needing to announce anything. Here is a simple challenge. For 1 week, reduce complaining by 50%. Replace it with one small silent action. Just one step, one shift, one moment of intention. Let your transformation speak louder than your explanations. Let your quiet work become the loudest thing about you. Principle 4. Stepping out of the approval game. One of the quietest forms of suffering is the constant question that circles in the back of the mind. Do they like me? We rarely say it out loud, yet many decisions, reactions, and even personalities are shaped by this silent search for approval. Without noticing, we start living like a human mirror, reflecting back what we think others want to see, reading their expressions to decide if we are enough, adjusting ourselves based on the smallest cues. In the process, we lose sight of the one question that truly matters. Am I aligned with my values? Imagine yourself as a radio. Instead of broadcasting your own frequency, your truth, your voice, your values, you constantly twist the dial to match the people around you. With one person, you tune yourself to humor. With another, you tune yourself to seriousness. With someone else, you tune yourself to silence. And after years of shifting frequencies, you forget how your own signal even sounds. This is the trap of the approval game. You spend so much time trying to be chosen that you never choose yourself. Buddhist wisdom teaches that praise and blame are just two of the worldly winds, forces that blow through every life but should not direct the course of your heart. When your peace depends on being admired, you become fragile. A compliment lifts you. A criticism destroys you. This is not freedom. This is living as a leaf in someone else's breeze. The fear underneath is real. Fear of being misunderstood, of disappointing others, of losing connection. But true connection cannot exist when you abandon yourself to maintain it. Your inner worth is something you touch in stillness, in the moments when no one is watching, judging, or applauding. It is something you confirm through your own integrity, not through someone else's approval. Here is a simple but powerful practice. Before you post, speak, or make a decision, pause and ask, if no one clapped and no one criticized, would I still choose this? If the answer is yes, you are living from your center. You are stepping out of the approval game and into the freedom of being fully, quietly, unwaveringly yourself. Principle 5. Releasing invisible contracts. One of the great sources of quiet suffering comes from something most of us never realize we're doing. Living by invisible contracts, unspoken agreements we write in our minds and expect others to follow without ever telling them. We whisper to ourselves, if I'm kind, they will stay. If I support them, they'll support me the same way. If I love with honesty, they will love with loyalty. These contracts feel fair, even noble. But the truth is, no one else knows they exist. And when life doesn't match the script we secretly wrote, we feel disappointed, resentful, used, or unseen. Not because people failed us, but because they never signed the agreement we created in silence. Imagine sitting at a table, writing elaborate contracts with beautiful promises and heartfelt expectations. You slide the paper across the table, but the chair in front of you is empty. No one was ever invited to read it. No one even knew ink was being spilled. Yet you hold others accountable as if they had agreed. This is the emotional trap of invisible contracts. expecting life to obey rules it never received. Buddhist wisdom teaches that expectation is a subtle form of grasping. The tighter you grip how people should behave, the sharper the pain when reality does not follow your design. We suffer not because others failed us, but because our minds insisted they must play a role they never agreed to play. There is another way, a quieter, freer way. It is to give without making it a transaction, to be kind without demanding a return, to allow people to be who they are, rather than who you scripted them to be. When you release the invisible contracts, you return to the present moment, where things are exactly as they are, not as your mind insisted they must be. Here is a simple practice. Think of one invisible contract you've written, with a friend, a partner, a parent, or even life itself. Then take a slow breath and say inwardly, I choose to give without tying my peace to the outcome. This is where quiet freedom begins. Not by forcing the world to match your script, but by releasing the script altogether and meeting life with open hands instead of closed expectations. Principle 6. Becoming still in a world that won't slow down. One of the hardest truths to accept is that life almost never pauses long enough for us to catch our breath. The bills don't stop arriving because your heart is heavy. The notifications don't slow down because you feel overwhelmed. Deadlines, responsibilities, messages, social pressure, they keep flowing, indifferent to whether you feel ready or not. Many people spend years waiting for the perfect moment to heal, the perfect season to rest, or the perfect quiet to begin their spiritual work. But that moment rarely arrives. Life keeps moving, and if you wait for it to stop, your inner peace will always stay just out of reach. Instead, imagine yourself as the quiet seat in a train. Outside the window, the world rushes by. Trees blur into shadows. Buildings appear and disappear. People move in all directions. But the seat itself stays still. It doesn't chase the motion. It doesn't resist it. It allows everything to pass while remaining grounded. This is the essence of Buddhist mindfulness, not escaping the world, but finding the unmoving point within your own awareness, even as life continues its rapid pace around you. Often we tell ourselves, when things settle, I'll focus on myself. When I have more time, I'll start healing. When life gets calmer, I'll meditate. But postponing peace only deepens the exhaustion. Healing happens not in perfect conditions, but in real ones, while cooking, commuting, working, or navigating the noise of daily life. Calm isn't something you find outside. It's something you cultivate inside. The shift begins with micro moments of presence. One conscious breath while washing dishes. One moment of feeling your feet touch the ground before responding to someone. One pause before reacting. These moments are small, but they pull you out of chaos and back into yourself. Here is a simple practice for today. Take just 60 seconds to return to center. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, feel the body soften, and allow the mind to settle, even briefly. Do this several times a day, especially when the world feels fast. Stillness is not something you find, it is something you choose. One breath, one moment, one quiet return at a time. Principle 7. When no becomes a redirection, not a verdict. Rejection has a unique way of touching the most sensitive parts of our being. It doesn't just land on the surface, it sinks quietly into the places where we hold our hopes, our longings, and our hidden insecurities. Whether it comes from a person you cared for, an opportunity you worked toward, a job you thought was aligned, or a relationship you poured yourself into, rejection feels like being stripped bare. It whispers the kind of lies that cut deeply. You are not enough. You failed. You were foolish to try. These are painful illusions, not truths, yet in the moment, they feel overwhelmingly real. The reason rejection hurts so deeply is because it touches the oldest human fear. The fear of not being valued, not being chosen, not being seen as worthy of love or belonging. And without realizing it, many people interpret rejection as a verdict on their identity, as if someone else's no has the authority to define who they are. But here is a quieter, more accurate truth. Rejection is almost never a statement about your worth. More often, it is life quietly closing one path so that you can be redirected to another, one more aligned with your growth, your values, and your potential. To understand this, imagine walking on a long winding trail through a forest. The air is still, the path is familiar, and for a moment it feels like you know exactly where you're headed. Suddenly, you reach a gate that is shut. You push it, hoping it will open, but it doesn't move. For a moment, frustration rises. It feels like the path is over, like your progress has been blocked. But look closer. The gate is not a prison bar. It is not a punishment. It is a signpost. Just a few steps to the right, another path begins. A path you would never have seen if the original trail had stayed open. This is the nature of rejection. It closes the doors that do not belong to you so that you can notice the ones that do. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the true source of suffering is not the no itself, but our clinging to what we believed must happen. This clinging, known as attachment, is subtle but powerful. When we hold tightly to the idea that a certain person, job, or outcome must choose us in order for our life to make sense, we set ourselves up for deep pain. The Buddha taught the practice of nekkhamma, letting go, not as a form of indifference, but as an act of compassion toward oneself. Letting go is the recognition that when something or someone is not aligned with your path, clinging only multiplies suffering. Still, the emotional sting of rejection is real. Being ignored, replaced, or overlooked can shake your confidence. It can make you question your value or wonder if you did something wrong. But instead of collapsing into the story of unworthiness, try shifting the perspective. This pain is real, and it is pointing me back toward myself. This sentence holds the doorway to your freedom. It turns rejection from a wound into a guide, a lantern illuminating the parts of your life where you were attached, hopeful, or dependent. This is where inner transformation begins. When a door closes, it invites you to investigate what you were attached to. Were you seeking validation, security, belonging? Did you hope someone else's acceptance would fill an inner emptiness? These questions are not meant to blame you. They're meant to free you. Here is a gentle practice for moments when rejection feels unbearable. Sit quietly and ask yourself 3 questions. 1. What was I attached to here? 2. What truth about myself is this revealing? 3. What can I now build that does not rely on this person or outcome? These questions soften the mind. They open space where confusion once lived. They turn your attention inward, toward your own strength, your own values, your own direction. When you reflect deeply, you begin to see that every no carries information. Every rejection reveals something about what is no longer aligned with your path. Every closed door protects you from a future that was never meant to be yours. And every ending clears space for something more truthful to enter. Slowly, gently, you realize that rejection is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of the chapter you were always meant to write. It is life shifting you from illusion to alignment, from dependency to inner strength, from clinging to clarity. A no is not a verdict. It is a redirection, leading you back to the path where you finally, quietly, beautifully become yourself. Closing reflection. Your peace is a daily choice, not a gift. As you reach the end of this journey, take a slow breath and let the truth settle gently within you. Your path is your own, your wounds are your own, and your peace is your own. No one can walk inside your mind, rearrange your thoughts, or carry the weight that only your heart can feel. Yet instead of being a burden, this is your quiet power. Because the moment you stop waiting for the world to offer you peace, you realize it has always been something you were meant to create from within. Every day gives you a choice to repeat old patterns or to soften into new ones, to cling or to release, to blame or to awaken, to wait for understanding or to meet yourself with understanding first. You walk your path, you hold your pain, you build your peace, and each gentle step you take becomes part of your awakening. You were never meant to stand endlessly at the door of someone else's understanding, hoping they might one day open it wide enough to let you in. You were meant to sit at the center of your own being, steady, tender, grounded, and finally offer yourself the compassion you once begged others to give. The love you were chasing outside has always been waiting quietly inside. The peace you longed for was never hiding in another person's hands. So as you leave this teaching today, choose just one principle from this journey. Live it gently. Let it weave into your day, into your breath, into the way you speak to yourself and move through the world. Tiny practices transform you more than grand intentions ever could. And if these teachings touched your heart, join us here. Subscribe for more Buddhist wisdom, more emotional healing, and more gentle reminders to guide you back home to yourself, again and again.